Commander PU. Turn number BR, by user.glass4339. I'm still in training, so when weird stuff happens I get waved over as a learning opportunity. This happened on Friday. A really upset user called in saying that his program wasn't loading. As soon as my trainer took the call and heard the guy's voice, he waved me over to listen in. Guy, there's a line of people waiting and this program isn't open. I need someone down here to open this program right now. Coworker, okay, we can help, but can I first get the code for your compute? Gee, it's a whole line of people. Do you understand that? See, I understand, but to help I'll need your computer number so I can connect. Gee, you're not coming down here? You heard me say I have a line of people, and I can't help them until you help me. See, Commander PU. Turn number BR. G, 55454686. The guy kept going on, but my coworker didn't say anything else, just connected to his machine, double-clicked the icon and we watched the program he needed load right up like normal. Finally guy stopped ranting. Coworker hung up without waiting for guy to say anything. He said these are the kind of calls I'll have to get used to. Said that the user's number one solution is always for someone to come down to the floor and not to get tricked by that. That time the Chilean government messed with daylight savings time, by user Benderender. I hope this doesn't break this sub's rules. It's not at all a conventional TFTs, but I think readers here will appreciate the madness. Last month the Chilean government decided, with less than a month's notice, to change when daylight savings time starts. It was supposed to start on September 4th and they changed it to start on September 11th. This change was made on August 9th. I think that maybe reading that, there will be some among you picking your jaws up off your desks. Yes, it's as bad as you imagine. For everyone else's sake, everything that uses time here, which is sort of like everything, is royally stuffed. Look on your phone at what time your world clock says it is in Santiago. Then ask Google. You'll probably get different times. The airport is chaos. As of yesterday boarding passes were being written out by hand. Same with hotel booking systems. Lord Spaghetti Monster help all the poor tech support staff in Chile right now. Disclaimer, I'm not a Chilean and I know the situation with the government is complex. I'm only traveling here and have no opinion on the politics. I only know that it's such a crazy thing for politicians to do unilaterally on like no notice. How not to report an emergency water leak, by Userabilistmage. I'm a dispatcher for a city water department, and sometimes we get panicky callers needing their water turned off for one reason or another. You'd think that you'd want the dispatcher to know the address of where you are and not fill a call with endless chatters so they could get the work done to get the crew there. Thankfully, I am allowed to hang up on people. Me, City Water Depar. Caller, speaking super fast. Hi, I'm over at my mother-in-law's house and we heard a weird noise out in the garage, so we went out there and there's water coming out of the foundation and we're trying to. Me, slow down, slow down. Caller, not stopping, sweep all of the water away from the rest of the stuff in the garage and. Me, okay, stop. Caller, pauses to let me get a word in. Me, where is this? Caller, in the garage and we're trying to get all of this. Me, I mean what location? Caller, my mother-in-law's house like I said and we're trying to sweep all of this WA. Me, street. Address. Caller, 1234 ABC Street. There is just so much water I didn't realize how much pressure. Me, okay, so you need an emergency shut off of the water at the meter? Caller, talking super fast like the Micro Machine commercials. Well, at first we heard this kind of pop but not really a pop exactly, and then could hear water running, you know, like when the washer is on you can kinda hear how water moves through the pipes. Well, there was that sound and we wondered what kind of thing inside the house would, not answering the question. Me, interrupting, talking over the top of him, so I'm going to try to get a crew out to you as soon as I can to shut the water off. Is that what you need? Caller, speaking super fast, yes. After we realized there wasn't any kind of appliance we knew of, we tried to follow the sound of the water pipe to locate where in the house it could be, you know, and we realized it was mostly coming from the direction of the garage and. Me, I don't need any of that information, I need to radio the crew, okay? Caller, okay, and then we went out into the garage and then we saw a bunch of weird movement and thought I wonder why that is moving, and then we realized maybe the water is moving them around, and then we turned the light on and could feel the humidity of the garage, you know, and. Me, station identifier to crew identifier, over radio. Caller, no, I didn't say that, I said we heard a noise at the garage and when we went out there we took a look and couldn't see anything at first until we realized. Me, crew identifier response I have a code XYZ at 1234 ABC Street. Caller, and then we realized there maybe had been some kind of pipe bust out in the garage but we. Crew on radio, en route. Caller, and so then I was like how are we going to get all of this water out of the way of all the boxes and then they were like. Me, interrupting, so the crew is on the way to 1234 ABC Street okay? Can I get a first name and a callback number, for the report? Caller, my name is name and my number is number. Be sure to tell them we have a lot of boxes and it's in the garage, and the garage door is open, and it's starting to. Me, interrupting, none of that is relevant to them, they're going to arrive on site as soon as they can and turn the water off near the curb, how you handle anything else is up to you. You can ask them any questions after they get there. Caller, well I just wanted to make sure that they knew it has to be soon because there's this really big heavy brown box the kind with the lid that you have to close together at the same time or else it won't close right and then the rest of stuff you put on top will teeter to the side you know. Well it has some pictures and it's heavy to move and if we didn't think of the brooms in time there would have been. Me, they're on their way. Caller, okay great Anne. Me, hangs up immediately. I get the report typed up, minus the essay, and the crew arrives and reports to me over the radio that they see no one on site. No garage door open, no water in the driveway. I dial the number the rep gave me. Me, hi, this is my name with the water department. Caller, oh good. When are they going to show up? We have been sweeping the WA. Me, the crew is on site at 1234 ABC Street like you told us, but there is no one there. Are you not at 1234 ABC Street? Caller, we're at my mother-in-law's house. I'm the son-in-law and we have been sweeping to make sure it doesn't soak any of these really huge boxes because we're not very strong and it would take a long time to move. Me, louder, my crew is at 1234 ABC Street and no one is there. Caller, 1234 ABC Street yes, that is my mother-in-law's house, and we're sweeping all this. Some lady in background of caller, yells something unclear. Caller, oh, we are at 1234 JKL Street. I thought you said they were on site already I mean we're standing here and sweeping so the water doesn't get to the. Me, they're going to pack up again and drive that address, so you'll have to wait a bit longer. Caller, well hurry these boxes are going to be soaked and I don't know if all the pick. Me, station identifier to crew identifier, over radio. Caller, no, we're at 1234 JKL not those numbers you said. Me, I'm talking to the crew on the radio. Caller, okay well you sent them to the wrong address the first time, I was just making sure you didn't send them to the wrong one again because we're trying to use brooms to push all of the water that's gushing out of the concrete out into the driveway and we're sweeping and we're worried that some of the boxes well one big box in particular might be but the others might have something in them like. Me, the wrong address is the one you gave us to go to. Caller, I told you I was at my mother-in-law's house, and we've been waiting here for them we would have seen them, you clearly. Me, they're on the way now to 1234 JKL Street. Caller, okay good and be sure. Me, hangs up. Thankfully I didn't need to talk to them anymore after that, but bless the undying patience of that mother-in-law. Outsourcing contract causes 250k bill for one SQL query, or so I am told, by user C 2021. I joined a large Australian merchant bank that was running Big Blue, BB, DB2 financials. I was one of 3 hired contractors used to support and refine the financial management system and I knew it real well. Knew stuff all about DB2. So I am given the task of restructuring all the ledger queries that go through a nice clean user interface before generating the DB2 query to be executed. I can only see the query and the output not the stats on the query I have edited and processed. Long story short I knew what was the most specific criteria so that had to be the first part of the query and then of course refined down to company/department/center etc. I was doing this in production, of course, as there was no real development/test environment available. The IT manager had signed a outsourcing contract sometime, never knew when, with BB, basically with a CPU penalty clause that racked up the charges by a huge margin if you exceeded them too often/much. I knew nothing and was not warned. I don't think any user knew the implications until I came along and blew the CPU limits for days on end, they had hundreds of queries. So one day the head of finance trots on over and says boy you have been busy, I said I suppose so, he continues. You have spent over $250,000 on CPU time in the last 3 days, WTF. He laughed and said not to worry, they were on it and to continue with my work. Turns out they knew the contract was detrimental to the company and had been anticipating such a blowout and were using it to renegotiate all the excess charges slipped in by BB. In fact, they all thought it was a great joke and kept asking me when I was going to hit the $1 million mark. I never did, I think, as I got very careful after that. Got to love those Aussies, they treat everything as a joke as well as shorten everyone's name to one syllable. So what are we supposed to do if there's a fire? By user want Debian thinks. My first real IT job was overnights with an MSP. One of our clients was Dollar Onions, an agribusiness that would buy onions in bulk and turn them into 10-pound bags of frozen onion soup. We took them as a customer the day they spun off as a legally distinct entity from their parent company, so some growing pains were inevitable, but boy did they push it. We're calling them Dollar Onions because the more you peeled back the layers, the more you cry. Dollar Onions had a web app for clocking in and out, another for changing pay destination, one for supervisors to put in write-ups, and so on. But they were managed by one HR program, the one program to rule them all, or $Toptrita. $Toptrita was a web app that did this fun thing where half the page would not load. Imagine $Favcat program, where there's a side panel with some info, a top bar with more specific info, and the main page with all the texting. It was like that, but the main panel wouldn't load no matter what you did. First call for $Toptrita is broken, sad face, went something like this. $Me, while doing general web troubleshooting, I'm not familiar with this program. Can you tell me what you use it for? $HR, well, right now, I need to use it to something incomprehensible so the last shift gets paid on time. $Me, excuse me? You need to do what? $HR, basically, the first thing the pay clerk has to do is something incomprehensible, which lets the previous shift get paid on time. I can leave this for the next pay clerk, and the last shift will still get paid, but it might be delayed by a week. $Me, and how many people would be impacted by this? $HR, I'd say about 500 people. I'm pretty sure that's how many people are on that shift at this plant. This client defines a ticket worth escalating as a severe issue, which is helpfully vague enough that after spending an hour the problem, I decide this is worth waking someone up at 2 a.m. over. After an hour of calling any number I could find, hoping against reason that someone, anyone, would pick up the damn phone, leaving 2 or 3 dozen voicemails, getting hung up on by the Dollar General Problems number because call the HRIT people, then having my call ignored by the Dollar General Problems number, I ask my boss what to do. She tells me to escalate the ticket, document how many calls I made, call the person back and tell them that it will get resolved during regular business hours. I quickly fall into a habit of trying anything my permissions would let me on the off chance it would help, escalating the ticket, making one call, then being done. Most of my co-workers just escalated on contact, having fully given up on either actually being able to fix the problem or being able to reach one of the thoroughly worthless HRIT people, more on them later. One of the last times I got this call, as I quit shortly after, it went something like this. $Me, Dollar Onions IT, this is $Me. Can I get a name and number please? $HR, muffled, hey, I got him. $Me? $HR, boy, I am glad I threw to you. It sure feels great having you at least try. I know Toptrita is a piece of crap, but it really feels good to have you at least trying. I have no idea who this person is, but their opening was probably somehow more funning. Make a ticket, try my best, give up, apologize, start to escalate the ticket. $HR, hey, my boss did have a question for you though. What are we supposed to do if there's a fire? That was the exact phrase. It's been years, but his voice asking that question is stuck, nailed, riveted, and glued into my brain. Not angry. Not accusing. Just concerned. What are we supposed to do if there's a fire? $Me, I don't understand. What do you mean? $HR, so there's about 1,000 people working on the assembly line 24/7 at this plant, and more when there are office staff in. If we have to evacuate the building because of a fire, or shelter in place because of a tornado, HR is supposed to take our laptops with us. There's so many people on site that the only way we could get an accurate headcount is with $Toptrita. So, what are we supposed to do if there's a fire and no one can get into it? I don't remember what happened next. I think I said I would find out, apologized, and hung up. There was no management on that shift for me, but when the day shift boss showed up I asked him. Me, hey, you know Top Trda? Boss, and how it's a huge piece of shit. Yeah, go on. Me, is there a solution for it being such a huge piece of shit? He made a sound that told me I was just picking at a fresh wound. Me, so what are they supposed to do if there's a fire? After I explained the situation, he looked at his phone, wrote something on a sticky note he left on his desk, wrote something else on a different sticky note, said something about preparing for a meeting with Onions, and excused himself. The following night I showed to a fresh, department-wide email, which read in full. Top Trda does not impact production, so do not contact the on-calls regarding any ticket for Top Trda. Don't try fixing it, just escalate. That was it. So, what are they supposed to do if there's a fire?